The Galactic Tribunal had one rule about grief. Show it and you lose. Humanity had just shown it in front of every civilization in the known universe. Ambassador Rael Vonder stood at the center of the tribunal floor, tears running openly down his face, and did not wipe them away. Around him, representatives from 47 species watched from tiered observation rings that rose 50 meters above the chamber floor. The silence was the kind that precedes judgment. "The human is weeping," said Tribunal Elder Sorvak, Thien of the Durali Collective, its translucent membrane flickering in what every species present recognized as contempt. "Biological weakness. Precisely what we expected." Rael let the tears fall. Behind him, on the massive evidence display that dominated the chamber wall, played footage that his government had transmitted from Earth. Not military footage. Not political footage. A hospital ward. Children. Rows of them. Sick from the atmospheric toxins the Durali industrial fleet had been venting into the shipping lanes bordering human space for 11 years. A slow and deliberate poisoning that the Durali had legally classified as navigational exhaust under a tribunal bylaw so obscure that no human legal team had found it until 14 months ago. By then, thousands of children were already sick. "Ambassador Vonder," said tribunal moderator Esselpron, a towering Quellian whose silver robes swept the floor in two directions at once. "You have requested emergency tribunal intervention on the grounds of deliberate biological harm. However, the Durali have presented counter-documentation showing full compliance with Bylaw 7741C. Your case requires more than emotion." "I know," Rael said. His voice was steady even as his face was wet. "I am not here to argue law." The chamber stirred. That was not how tribunal hearings worked. "Then what are you here to do?" Sorvak Thien demanded. Rael turned and faced the full ring of 47 species and said clearly, loudly, and without any tremor whatsoever, "I am here to make sure every civilization in this room sees exactly what compliance with Bylaw 7741C looks like when it is applied to a child who cannot breathe." He pressed a key on his podium. The evidence wall changed. It was not a data chart. It was not a legal brief. It was a single recording, 43 minutes long, filmed by a nurse named Desta Owali in a ward on the outskirts of New Cairo Station, documenting one single night, in which 7 children between the ages of 4 and 9 deteriorated simultaneously from pulmonary crystal syndrome, a condition caused by prolonged exposure to refined hexoite vapor, the specific compound present in Durali navigational exhaust at concentrations the Durali knew were toxic and had deliberately increased 3 years prior. The tribunal had a protocol against emotional manipulation of evidence. Esselpron did not invoke it. Nobody in the room moved for the full 43 minutes. When it ended, the silence was a different kind than before. "You cannot legislate what you just watched," Rael said. "You cannot file it under Bylaw 7741C. You cannot translate it into the 17 legal languages this tribunal recognizes and have it come out meaning anything other than what it is." He looked directly at Sorvak Thien. "It is a crime, and you know it is a crime. And now all 47 civilizations in this room know that you know." Sorvak Thien's membrane went very still. "This changes nothing," it said, but the words were quieter than before. "It changes everything," said the representative of the Farron Accord, a species that had not spoken unsolicited in a tribunal session in 60 years. "I move for emergency injunction." "Seconded," said 3 voices at once. The vote was called 17 minutes later. 44 in favor, 2 abstentions, 1 refusal. The Durali industrial fleet was grounded within the hour. Rael Vonder stood on the steps of the tribunal building afterward, still not having wiped his face, and his communications officer Neova Strend handed him a cloth without comment. He shook his head. "Leave it," he said. "Let every camera in this plaza see exactly what winning looks like for us." Neova looked at him for a long moment. "They called it weakness," she said. "Yes," Rael said, watching the Durali delegation file out of the building with their heads down. "And now 44 civilizations know the difference between a species that feels nothing and wins battles, and a species that feels everything and wins wars." He finally wiped his face. Not because he was ashamed, because it was over. and somewhere on New Cairo Station, the children were already breathing easier. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.